Episode 59. It's episode 59. It's episode 59 of Talking with Tasha. All right. Thank you so much for coming back for episode 59 of Talking with Tasha. I appreciate it so very much. March is Women's History Month. And so with that in mind, this episode is in collaboration with another local podcaster, Local Lou. She's been on the podcast before. If you haven't listened to her podcast, she finds historical markers here in the Sioux Falls area, and then she does a deeper dive into what it's about. And so for this episode, in the spirit of women's history, we talk about the Women's Alliance here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the fact that there were not any public restrooms for women before 1911 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And you will learn all about it in this episode. And just because it's I'm involved, there's a lot of random stuff also in this episode. And I could have edited out this beginning, like you'll hear it, but we talked about like zits and popping zits and stuff, and I left it in because that's real life, baby. I usually do a little more of what I'm watching and stuff. Let's just say Paradise was amazing that first season. I don't know how they're going to beat it. I'm caught up on Yellow Jackets. What? And yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just there's a lot of good TV out there right now. And thank you for coming back to listen. So without further ado, let's get into this conversation with Local Lou about popping zits and also women's restrooms in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and how the Women's Alliance came to be. Enjoy.
Are you ready for your close-up?
Well, now with this new setup, to get close to my mic, I'm also like closer to the...
Ooh. Man, if I was a dermatologist, like we could just check each other's skin. Like I've got this weird mole.
Of which, of course, this bad boy popped up yesterday. And this, you can edit this out. When I went to squeeze it yesterday, it popped out on the mirror and it was really satisfying. Or you can leave it in. I don't care.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I had something on my eyelid and I went to the dermatologist and, well, that's not like something you can pop. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Not with that attitude, ma'am.
I remember the first time I read somewhere or like in some teen magazine, try not to pop your zits, don't touch them, don't mess with them, it makes it worse. I'm like, in what world am I not gonna pop this zit? Like that's
yeah. Also, my mental health disagrees. I
don't pick at my face for 20 minutes before bed every night, like what am I even doing?
Yeah. I mean, God willing, I get something weird on my arm or something because that's fun. It's just
yeah.
I don't know. It's a project. It's like, how can I anger this to the point that it goes away? Like, I will not be satisfied until this is 3 times the size and really red. So
Yep.
And then it's
anyway.
Perfect. Yeah, so that's a great start to this.
Yeah.
I feel so good about it now. You know, you had reached out wanting to learn some like local women's history for Women's History Month, which I absolutely love. And especially like now more than ever, it's such like a great time to be reminded of these individual human beings that decided to do something and then did it. And it was good and it helped people and just these nice, honest projects. So, and that's the kind of the historical marker that I picked. So
I think these should all also be a reminder of let's not go back. Let's not undo all the progress we've made. Just gonna throw that out there. So, okay, now go ahead.
Yeah, so the historical marker is called the Women's Alliance. And, you know, if you are cool with me reading the whole marker, I think I would like to do that. Definitely feel free to hop in if I say something that you want to comment on. But I'm just going to read the historical marker, and then I have just a little couple tidbits, some newspaper articles. I needed a reference point for this once I read this. Okay, so in 1911, Sioux Falls had no public restrooms or rest areas for women visiting the city or employed in local businesses. That's that's the opening line. So
okay, keep going. I already have so many things. Okay, go.
Again, 1911. So, recognizing the need, Edith Keller Lillibridge and Anna M. Eddy assembled 30 women to organize the Women's Alliance as a nonprofit corporation. Having a few resources other than their own vision and determination, they pioneered a venture which, in its time, was unique in this city and in the Midwest. 400 members enlisted and paid dues of $1 each to provide funds for this project. Mary Peabody was the president, and on this site was the last facility operated by the Women's Alliance as a home away from home for women. It climaxed a record of service, which is one of the finest in the history of the city. Initially, the Alliance established 2 rooms on the second floor of a downtown building to answer the immediate need. The project gained support, and 3 years later, it moved into a facility that permitted the preparation of meals and provided sleeping accommodations. In 1956, the Alliance purchased the Fosdick Mansion at this location. A 2-story dormitory was added, providing a total of 25 bedrooms, which would accommodate 46 residents. Throughout the 62 years of its operation, the Alliance homes were governed and managed by a succession of dedicated women. Funding for growth was provided in part by gifts, bequests, rummage sales, card parties, and holiday events conducted by the members of the board. Grants were received from the Sioux Falls Community Chest, but the project was largely self-supporting. The vision of the founders was carried on by the successors. The founders met the need for a residence for women who were without a home and who wanted a temporary or permanent low-cost residence where all women could be welcome regardless of race, color, or creed. There is a steadfast adherence to its purposes to help others to help themselves and not to turn away any deserving woman. Women facing crisis in their lives found security in its environment and help from counseling of its staff. Many seeking jobs found help through an employment service provided also by the Alliance. By 1973, growing options for women's housing and services prompted the Alliance to sell this home. The sales proceeds were invested in an endowment, and each year the board authorizes grants to local agencies whose focus is on women and children. These annual grants acknowledge and sustain the vision of the Alliance founders, who saw the need and met it nobly. So this historical marker, it's located off of 9th and Spring Avenue, and obviously it's completely inspirational. So
yeah. I'm trying to visualize 9th and Spring. What else is around there?
Yeah, it's like an old, well, it's kind of near Pettigrew, the Pettigrew Museum, and it's sort of near a big church there.
Okay.
I think it's that church with the Red Cross on the neon red cross.
Yeah. Up in that area.
Yeah, up in that area.
Okay. That makes okay. And I have it, it said it helped anybody or race, color, creed didn't matter, and that was the whole time, like since 1911.
I feel like that's what it grew into. When it first started, it was like women needed a restroom. And so from there it just grew. Yeah. And so as the needs popped up, they kind of I believe they would rewrite their mission statement to include that.
I would like to know, and I guess in 1911, I don't know how, I know women in the workforce haven't always been like the biggest part of the workforce or whatever, but there's always been women doing some kind of work somewhere, I'm sure. And so I'd like to know what these women were doing before. Like, just holding it? I don't understand. Like, what?
I don't know. And 1911 feels real late. It feels like that, for me, that year just felt like, what are we talking about? I could understand in 1860, 1870, that makes sense. 1880, it's like, wow. But yeah, 1911, and there just wasn't like a public women's restroom is kind of what they're talking about. Right. Yeah. So like that any woman could use.
And then I also, I mean, when you have your period, what are these ladies doing? Like, you have to have a place to take care of that. I don't understand.
Right. And you can't not work for 1 week every month. That's not how that works. So
yeah.
And I understand that a lot of women were working like within the home. So there might be people that are making a living as like a seamstress and things like that, but they're doing it from their home. But that's not going to be everybody. And then you also have some of the more well-to-do women in town, like Helen McKinnon's sister-in-law started one of the first like public reading rooms, what would eventually be a library. And it's so what was she doing? Like,
right.
she had the means, but you also can't just zip home real quick when you have to take like a buggy or walk. So I don't know.
And even if you were a well-to-do person, let's say you went out to dinner with your husband and there's just nowhere for you to go to the bathroom. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes me have to pee.
Yeah, and
like
I'm sure
immediately.
I know, and I'm sure there's some people listening to this that are like, I never use a public bathroom anyway. I have friends that hate it, but you at least know it's there in an emergency. It also reminds me of the times I've been to New York City where public bathrooms are kind of hard to come by unless you buy something, like you have to be a customer. But again, at least there's an option of some kind. But
no, and I think you're hitting the nail like on the head there, where it's like we're talking about a publicly available to anybody restroom, and there just weren't any. And so that's the need that they're filling. And it's like, I know that song, This Is a Man's World, but I guess I didn't understand that applied to like restrooms, because there was, when I was looking this up, somebody mentioned an Argus Leader article that was talking about when the courthouse was being built. So what we now call the Old Courthouse Museum, when that was our courthouse and it was being built, that it didn't have a public restroom for women, just for men. And I found that fascinating, specifically since Sioux Falls was this divorce capital, and all of these super rich people were coming here to get divorced, and a lot of them were women. And it's just like, how is that possible?
Yeah. But I also like that, this Women's Alliance, it started with the bathrooms, but also helped people find jobs, and I don't know, just all the stuff that it also helped with, is cool that it started with, like I just got to pee somewhere is basically where it started, and then it turned into a lot more. So that's cool. Is it still a thing now, just under a different name, or?
So essentially, I think it's still a thing in the way that they still do grants from that endowment fund. So the name might be alive, but they're not a place, like a location that you can go to and get these services. So sort of. So the women, I looked a little bit into the two women that started it. So Edith Keller Lillibridge, her first husband was a really well-known dentist in Sioux Falls. And that was also a writer by night. His name was Will Lillibridge, and he authored a book called Ben Blair, The Story of a Plainsman, and that sold 150,000 copies. So I thought that was kind of interesting that she was married to such an interesting guy, which makes sense because obviously she's fascinating.
What was the name of the book he wrote?
Ben Blair, The Story of a Plainsman.
And I'm not saying he didn't write it, but I feel like for that time period, what if she wanted to be a writer, but
That'd
like no one would read it if it was her, and so he just like pretended. I'm gonna pretend she wrote it.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm in. I'm so in.
I don't know why I have to go there, but no, I'm sure he was a great dentist and writer. But
yeah. Well, and it's interesting because he actually dies, I think, 4 years into their marriage, and she goes on to then marry a doctor. So, I mean, she is just...
I need her to teach me her ways. Like,
she is strategically falling in love, and I love that for her.
I do too.
She eventually moves out to California, She dies in 1968, but she is buried here in Sioux Falls at Woodlawn. And so I thought she kind of sounded like she had kind of an interesting little life. And her obituary, that in the Argus at least, was only like a paragraph. And that's unfortunate, but at the same time, it was really hard to find because she'd been married several times. And so she's got a lot of last naming going on. And a lot of obituaries, even in 1968, they might not say her first name. They'll say Mrs. So-and-so.
Yeah.
So it was just a little tricky. And then even on Find a Grave, they have her husband as, I believe, the wrong person. But, you know, I mean, it's somebody with that name, but I don't think it's the right guy unless this guy was a bigamist. But I mean, who knows? We don't know. We don't know.
I had a thought about, okay, and it's a little suspicious that he died just 4 years.
I know, right?
I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe he did steal her writing and she killed him over it.
That's right. I like this story. It's a good
I'm going to write that book.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she goes on to be like this huge humanitarian. It's such an interesting.
She used the money, like the insurance money, for good after that. You know?
Heck yeah. Yeah.
We love a vigilante kind of. I don't know.
Yeah, a vigilante Black
I'm not
Widow.
condoning murdering your spouse.
No.
I'm not. I'm just.
No. No, that's a bad idea.
I have an active imagination. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, and definitely not these days. There's no way to get away with that, so don't even try. Like I watched too many of those shows, and it's every time it's like, what a fool.
Yeah,
we're never gonna get away with that.
But the obituary being short these days, it is $12 a word to make an obituary. So yeah, today if one's short, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense because it's very expensive. But
yeah, I had no idea. And it was just, that was fascinating when I was at the funeral home and it was just like, oh, that's.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll just put something nice on my Facebook. I was like, more people will probably see that anyway.
Yeah, and the funeral home can print like a lovely pamphlet. Like
yes. You
know, it's just.
And we still, like when my mom died, we still put an obituary in the paper, but it was again small because
the $250 one, not the
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, love ya, but
she'd get it. She understands.
Oh, totally. That's the other part. Is some people it matters. Like they would want that, and then other people would be like, "Don't you dare spend $500 on an obituary. That's crazy."
Yeah.
So Mrs. Anna Eddy is one of the other women that was mentioned, and I found not a ton about her, but I did find an article that says Mrs. Anna Eddy, honored at college, meets students at chapel named for her. Lecture series starts. So Mrs. Eddy, honored early settler of Sioux Falls and benefactor of Sioux Falls College, was presented to the students of the college this morning in the chapel named for her. And so it goes on to talk about they had a speech where they talked about all of her accomplishments and things that she did for Sioux Falls, and then she is quoted as saying, "I've always been a friend of education," which I just think is adorable. So clearly, like, this Women's Alliance is just like a drop in the bucket of what she did, which I think, again, cool.
This chapel was on a campus?
It must be. It must have been at one point called.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
There's a really great, it's called Calgary Cathedral, and that one's the one by Miller Funeral Home downtown. And that was John Jacob Astor III. He donated the money for that chapel, and he wanted it named after his wife, and they did that for a year. And I mean, they took his money, they cashed the check, they named it after her, and then they changed the name. It was just like, oh, okay. So you know what I mean? It's a dicey little proposition to have something named for you, even if you pay for it.
I know. I thought churches always were named after Saint Michael's, or you know what I mean, like usually something churchy, not just, I don't know,
highest bidder stuff.
Yeah, Natasha's Cathedral. That seems weird, you know, but.
That would be a cool bar.
Yeah, that's
Natasha's
more my
Cathedral.
lane anyway.
I like it. And it could have a theme of, going to church, but like in a fun way.
Yeah.
There was a church that my family went to in the Quad Cities that had red shag carpet and stained glass, but it was like these really retro colors because it was definitely built in like the 70s. And my sister-in-law, she leaned over and she's, you know how they say that church is God's house? This one is definitely God's pad. It is definitely his bachelor pad.
Yes.
Shag carpet, like everything 70s. It's, totally.
Shag carpet in a church,
I know.
That's different.
It was cute. I remember that church, but I can't for the life of me remember the name of it, but I'm sure it was something churchy.
Yeah. Probably.
Saint something. So I did look up just 2 articles from the beginning of the Women's Alliance so we could get more of a grip on what they were talking about in the newspaper about this whole bathroom situation. We're going to start in March 18th of 1911. At the last meeting of the Women's Alliance, steps were taken which assures a club and restroom to the girls and women of Sioux Falls. It was voted to rent 3 rooms in the Carswell Greeley block for this purpose, and a committee consisting of Mabel Dockstader, Mrs. Fuller, and Mrs. A.L. Pinkow, those are all weird names, was appointed to see the furnishing of these rooms. These ladies are devoting much time and energy to this work and will appreciate any assistance. If you have anything to offer, now is the time to do so. Even advice is acceptable. Several applications for the position of matron have been received, which the board is now considering. If all the ladies who have given their name as members will send in their fees promptly, it will help very much. The minimum fee for active members is $1. The maximum is limited only to your interest and your purse. This is a worthy cause and should be well supported. Just kind of adorable how they're really just encouraging people to do this, get on board, like
free will donation. They're saying like, give us your money. I'd like to know how many men donated. I'd just if there was some ledger from back in the day that said, And I'm thinking, so this one building had a public bathroom for women, but what if you were still 20 blocks away or something? Like, it's better than nothing, but it's still wild that you'd have to leave and go somewhere else to go. I don't know. It's just, my brain. Like, I can't.
Yeah, the basicness of it is shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again,
Ridiculous.
1911.
And can I just point out that men can pee outside way easier than women can? And so, if anything, women need an actual bathroom, I would say more than guys.
Mm-hmm.
Just
and that remains true. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And we wear like less clothing now, like less layers, but it still remains true that it's way easier for them to pee outside.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just like, what? And it's just all these things. Women were supposed to be modest in all these stuff.
Yeah.
So it give me a private place to do it then instead of, I don't know, you're just expected to never leave your house, I guess. I don't understand. But I mean, for some people that was the expectation for girls, I guess. But anyway.
Yeah. So in April, so it's only been like a week or two since our last article, April of 1911, April 6th, and it says the formal opening of the rooms to the public will take place at 8:00 tomorrow evening. The rooms are in all readiness, and the people of Sioux Falls, men and women, are invited to appear at the rooms tomorrow evening and inspect them. An orchestra will be in attendance and will furnish music. There will be flowers and an informal reception and perhaps a few short talks. Mrs. Peabody is the president of the Women's Alliance, which now has 183 members. 3 rooms are used for rest quarters and a general waiting room, the matron's room and the retiring room. books, magazines, a citizen's telephone, the use of which is donated. Easy chairs, a piano, a writing table, and general parlor equipment are provided. A matron will be constantly in attendance while the rooms are open, and the rooms will be open not only on weekdays, but Sunday as well. Place cards will be placed in the streetcars and at depots so that all strangers of the city may be informed of the location and convenience provided by this enterprise.
Aww, I love that.
They thought of everything. It's so cool.
And this was, you didn't have to be a member of the Alliance to use it, correct?
No.
It was for
Anybody.
anybody. I just love that. And there's been once or twice in my life where I've gone to a women's restroom where there was like a couch and it was just like this. They actually had a big old bathroom and you know, all this stuff and maybe even an attendant and things like that. And that's kind of what that reminds me of, is like the one or two times I've been in a bathroom like that where you're like, I could just hang out here. This is great.
Yeah, and it's nice because it's like providing this little space for, especially you think about like these working women that, you know, their home, especially if they're like blue collar or whatever, like their home might be on the other side of town. It might take them an hour to get here in the morning, like, but now they can go to this place and sit and have lunch. They can write a letter to their mom. They can listen to music that maybe they don't get to listen to music at home because they don't have anything to listen to music on. And like, how nice for everybody. Like just everybody. It's such a sweet idea. And I had no idea.
Yeah.
No clue.
And I just love that it's, you know, so many times in history, not just women, it's a lot of groups, but it's like they see a need, they make it happen. It was like, no one's going to give this to us, so we're going to fundraise for it. We're going to do the things we got to do. We're going to, and in that first article you said there was something about if you want to offer any advice or something, but these women didn't need your advice. They know what they're doing. Don't tell them what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, you know, there's so many times in history where that's kind of happened, you know, that like bootstraps, what's it, grassroots kind of stuff where they just like,
they built it from the ground up for sure.
Yeah.
And it was just from their own minds. Like they decided to do it.
So at 9th and Spring is where the building used to be with this in it. Okay.
Well, it's where like the Women's Alliance's last building was.
Oh, okay.
So kind of like the culmination of their 60 so years of work where it kind of ended, and then that building was sold, but all of that money went into an endowment fund where they're still able to kind of parcel out grants.
Gotcha.
So that's cool too. Like that, to think that it's been 114 years since then.
Yeah.
And it's still somehow, you know, a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had an orchestra at the opening of a bathroom, basically.
Yes.
And I love it.
I do too. It is like new goal. Like,
yeah, but can you, like you even said with some of these blue collar workers, or let's say you weren't from a lot of money, I feel like I would go into town just to hang out there.
right.
Because there's probably some amenities there that you don't have at home.
Yeah. And think of the
just think-
networking.
Yeah, I just think that's so. And I will say, a women's bathroom at any bar is like the nicest, most positive place.
Yeah.
I know most people, there's stereotypes about girls that you'd think drunk girls, or there's in that environment, you'd think they'd be bitchy and stuff. It is not. It is the best place on the planet. Everybody's like, girl, you look great. If you're in there, if someone's in there like crying over a boy, they're like, you don't need him, leave him. If someone's too drunk, it's, girl, do you have a ride home? Girls look out for each other, you know? Like, I just love the women's bathroom at a bar. It's the best.
Yeah, you come out and it's, Tiffany, I really think you should go back to college. Your sister's right. And it's like, do you guys know each other? No, we just met. But I believe
it's
you.
Or it's, oh my God, I love your outfit. There's just, you know, if you need a good self-esteem boost, a lot of times that women's bathroom is going to do it for you.
And the Women's Alliance was doing that. And
Yeah.
it's so cool to think
where
about.
it started.
And now, like, when you're downtown and you're a woman and you have to pee, I guess we should all be thinking about the Women's Alliance and what they did for our rights.
And maybe that's where the whole... I'm assuming that things like this kind of happened all over the country. I would assume. And so I wonder if that's where, you know, even now there's the joke about girls always go to the bathroom in packs. I bet it's because of stuff like this.
Oh, that's
like
interesting.
You forced us to hang out in the bathrooms. So there you go.
That's a good point, though. That is interesting. Yeah. Huh. I like it.
Plus, it's just, you know, there's safety in numbers sometimes, too. It's just
definitely
stay with me. Come with me to the bathroom.
There have been some sketchy bathrooms in my lifetime. Yeah, this one at a park still kind of haunts me. Like, I was just totally convinced a snake was going to come out of the toilet.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just oh, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Ugh, you know what bothers me the most, though, at female bathrooms? I don't want to be a traitor to my gender, but if you're there with a friend and you both go into a stall, it is not any faster. You are actually slower because you're in there talking and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. No, one at a time, it's still faster than both of you going in a stall. Because the rest of us got to pee. You better hurry it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah, and there should be like a stall that's for like extra clean people, you know? Like,
I don't know who's going to police that, but sure.
But just some people are just better at keeping it tidy, you know?
Yeah, I get that. One of my toxic traits is whether I'm leaving the movie theater or a restaurant or whatever, I always think, oh, I kind of have to go, but I'll just wait till I get home. Like, we're leaving anyway. And then I'm like running, almost peeing my pants. Just go to the bathroom before you leave, Natasha. Like, why are you torturing yourself on the drive home? I don't understand.
So true. I feel that inside. Yeah, totally. I feel that. That's
there's a couple times true. I've done that, though, because I saw the line to the bathroom and I was like, I bet I could get home before this line. So sometimes it's worth it.
No, thank you. You know, one thing that I thought of when I was reading this that I didn't think of when I was looking it up was Louise Mitchell. And she was an African-American woman that moved to Sioux Falls, you know, when you wouldn't want to be an African-American woman moving to Sioux Falls. And when she got here, I think it was like 1890, whatever, her and her husband were really successful hairdressers. And so she operated like a salon out of her house for a while. And then she ended up being like a manager at Shriver's department store in their beauty department or whatever, which is huge for, number one, a woman and then a Black woman to be doing that. But her and her husband, they started the Booker T. Washington Center in town. And what that did was it provided people of color that were coming to Sioux Falls like kind of a starting point. And it's just like, if you don't have a place to stay that accepts people of color, like this is your place. If you haven't secured a job yet, we have some leads for you. Like, and so they were doing, you know, just all this great social work, basically because they came here and were able to make it. So they wanted to make sure that other people that came here were able to make it. And I feel like the Women's Alliance is doing essentially the same thing because it starts with bathrooms, but then it like grows.
Yes. And I can't believe we're still talking about bathrooms in 2025. But anyway. But no, I love that. And it reminds me of the Green Book where people of color, when they traveled, so they knew where would be safe for them to go.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, that it's just, you know, you would hope that Sioux Falls was a safe place, but I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
I know it was for that human being that I talked about, but like I said, she kind of made like a piece of her. She was able to like assimilate and be a part of like society because she was doing all the society women's hair. And then I remember reading in the Argus Leader all these like society things that would mention dinner parties that she was having and stuff. So she was real cool, like real cool.
And she probably knew how to play the game a little bit, you know. She's no fool. She knows what she's got to do.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure. That's
but
cool,
these women for the Women's Alliance, I think they did too, because they definitely they saw a need and then they took the initiative, and then they didn't stop once they got a restroom. They kept going, they kept expanding, they kept helping people, and then they found new ways to help people. And obviously their focus was on women and children, and because they were underserved. And, you know, again, you hope that Sioux Falls is better now, but I know that we at least have a lot of avenues for people to get help now, as opposed to in 1911.
Because even when you say 1911, the first thought that's a year before the Titanic sank. That's where my brain went, because that was 1912. April 1912, yeah.
We couldn't vote yet, you know? So that's an interesting thing to think about too. Like the level of rights that women had was low. So
they didn't even have the right to pee.
Yeah. Little did we know.
I saw a meme today, and I'm probably going to misquote it, but it was like, men didn't give women the right to vote. Like, they fought for it. You know, it's not.
Oh, yeah. Women fought for it. The suffragette movement.
Yeah. But I think that's with any rights. It was never given to any group of people.
Yeah,
like,
civil rights.
There was always
a fight.
Yes. So sometimes it's, you know, they'll word it like, oh, they were given the rights that year or something. And it's, no one was given anything.
Yeah, because that makes it sound like some guy was reading the Constitution and was like, well, wait a second. Everybody should be able to vote.
I suppose the phrase mostly is it earn the right to vote? So that makes a little more sense because you did earn it, but it should be fought. They fought for it is what they did. But.
Yeah, and finally,
did you ever watch that movie, Suffragette? It's like the British suffragettes, not in America, but similar, you know, vibes. The one girl, I'm gonna blank on her name, but she's a real life person. She literally was a martyr for the cause. They were at a horse race of some kind because like politicians were there and they were trying to get their attention, and of course no one was paying attention to them, even though they had signs and stuff. So she literally threw herself in front of a horse to get their attention. Like, she died.
Wow.
So that they would. A woman literally threw herself in front of a horse because she wanted to be able, or she wanted her fellow women to be able to vote. You know, that's nuts. And that movie starts with, crazy. Yeah, the woman starts with the Carey Mulligan character. I think she breaks up with her husband or something happens, but because she's a woman, she literally has no rights to their son.
Correct.
So the husband takes the son, but the husband, of course, is, I don't know how to take care of a kid. So he gives it up for adoption, and there's nothing she can do about it. And I just, there's someone willing to take care of this child, and they're not going to let her. I don't know. It was just. Anyway, it's a great movie. You should go check it out.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. Yeah. The fact that Sioux Falls was like this place where people would come and get divorces, you know, you find out a lot about people's stories like that because it was pretty common for the rich guy to get everything he wanted if he even gave you a divorce, you know.
Right.
More than likely he would commit you to his sanitarium with neurasthenia or some kind of whatever he wanted to make up, you know.
Yeah,
so
exactly. It's wild.
It is. It's awful. There's a great book by April White called The Divorce Colony, and it basically tells the story of a few women that had some very interesting divorces here in Sioux Falls, and I always suggest that to people that have questions about that because it's amazing how we're talking about, you know, not being allowed to get divorced is just a wild concept to me because it's freaky.
Yeah.
It's a scary thought to think that you wouldn't have that kind of choice or control over your life. And
I think it's okay. So Bridgerton obviously is very not factual, but parts of it are kind of factual as far as, and it's interesting for some women, marriage was a way out, but also it was like a prison.
Totally.
In some way. And watching Bridgerton, sometimes I'm like, gosh, why is this social scene or getting married such a big deal? But it really was like the woman's job to try to marry up, or it was a job to get married back then, basically. And it's wild. But
a duty. Yeah,
Yes,
for sure. And sure, you would get freedom from your family, but then you now have a new set of chains or a gilded cage to sit in.
Yeah.
And that's the marital cage, because it's not like you had any marriages weren't like they can be now, where they're equal and fair, and you have opinions and are allowed to spend your money and do your thing.
And hopefully you had a husband that was an okay guy, but I feel like sometimes you don't know everything about a person, especially with the way marriages were kind of arranged back then, or, you always had a chaperone and the dating customs of people.
Well, and also, even in these days, like, you should, obviously have the right to change your mind.
Right.
And you don't both have to be unhappy to get divorced. That's not how divorce works. So just one person needs to be unhappy, and that's enough for a divorce, you know? And it doesn't have to be because somebody's a bad person either.
And I just always find it interesting when, especially in some of these historical instances, like you say, the husband wouldn't allow a divorce. Like, why do you want to be with somebody that doesn't want to be with you? That's what I've never got about some of these, even now, like certain possessive relationships. And I know it's more about control and stuff, really, but some of it's just, I don't want to be with somebody that doesn't want to be with me. Wouldn't you rather be with someone that actually likes you? I don't get it.
Yes, generally I would like to be with somebody that likes me. Yes.
Well, there you have it. Isn't that interesting? The Women's Alliance in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And to think, sometimes you just want to be with somebody that actually likes you back. Crazy, I know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Coming up, I have more stuff with Local Lou. We also did an episode about the one book, Siouxland Vanished in Vermilion. It's a real life thing that happened. 2 teenagers in the 70s went missing from Vermilion, and then there's a bunch of stuff that happens after that, and we do a deeper dive into that whole timeline. And because it is the one book Siouxland, there's tons of events coming up in the Sioux Falls area surrounding that book. Local Lou is hosting an event, and big announcement, the first time anyone's hearing it anywhere, I was asked to moderate the author discussion. So Lou Raguse is going to be there, give a brief presentation about the book that he wrote, Vanished in Vermilion, and then I will moderate a conversation. Isn't that exciting? Okay, that's coming up in April. There'll be more deets. Keep following my socials. It's on April 24th. It is a free event, but they want you to register because it is limited seating and all that kind of stuff. So check that out at the One Book Siouxland Library's website. Exciting. I know you're all just stoked. Okay. So yeah, that's coming up, more with Local Lou. But I hope you enjoyed this episode as well. March is Women's History Month, but it is also Endometriosis Awareness Month. In March, we wear yellow. Thank you to everybody that follows along on my socials and sends comments and questions. And I love hearing from other people or just curiosity, spreading the word, all that kind of stuff. So thank you for that. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe, comment, share, do all those things. You can listen to Talking with Tasha on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, and at talkingwithtasha.com. All my social media is linked there as well. You could send me an email at talkingwithtashapod@gmail.com. I'm also on Fiverr if you need any voice work done, and I'm on Cameo if you want to send a personalized message to somebody. Again, all of that's linked on talkingwithttasha.com. Thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned for more with Local Lou. Stay tuned for more about One Book Siouxland and Vanished in Vermilion. And if you're listening from somewhere that's not around Sioux Falls, South Dakota, I still think Vanished in Vermilion is an interesting read. You don't have to be local for it to be an interesting story. So I still follow along with us, will you? Anyway, thank you so much for listening. And I guess there's only one thing left to do. Be safe, make good choices, wash your hands. Just try to be a good person. Stay hydrated, and peace out, Brussels sprout. Bye.